Would I pay $2.8 million for a 2-bedroom property? Let's have a look at it. Now, the property is in a suburb called Toorak. It is one of the most prestigious, one of the most expensive areas in the whole of Australia. You've got 50, 60, sometimes $100 million properties being sold throughout Toorak, and it ranges from these huge, elaborate mansions down to units, townhouses, apartments. There is quite a different mix within Toorak, but in terms of anything with land, anything with its own street frontage, properties can be quite expensive. So when we're looking at 2.6 to $2.8 million for a 2-bedroom house, that could seem pretty normal in this pocket. I actually think that because of the way that this property is presented, it could go for a lot more than that. But let's have a closer look at it. So from the get-go, you're thinking, what is going on here? Is it a commercial building? Is it even a house? It's got just this raw front, not much going on other than the windows that along the top there. And then it's just got this black door. There is a lot of concrete at the front of the property as well. You've got this huge singular plane tree or oak tree, and then this little stick that's almost planted into the concrete, and it doesn't really have much foliage at the moment. I would say that this is pre-spring. These plants haven't got their full foliage yet. But again, from the outset, you're looking at it going, hey, this is a bit weird. It's got a horseshoe driveway, which I would say is pretty cool in this space, like in this particular area, because yeah, you don't really get dual driveways. So, that could be an advantage just in terms of parking and whatnot. But as you go into the property, you've got this central courtyard, which is, it's crazy, right? It's very unique. And then you've got obviously the plants and everything that goes on, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. But these windows continue. There's a ton of wood. You've got this grey-brown carpet, and it's just quirky. Without jumping to the floor plan and showing you just how quirky it is, it's very quirky. You've got cabinetry everywhere. You've got this seating area. You've got this little nook. What's going on over there? The pendant light coming down. It's intriguing, right? There's just something that makes you want to look further. It's got this underground cellar, which we'll show you on the floor plan. But yeah, from the roof, this shot of the city and then the property from an elevated position, it's cool. I can't really think of another word other than this is just cool. And I think it's amazing. You're not going to get another property like this. And it is heritage listed. We've done a little bit of research on it. There are some things you can't do to this property. If someone was to move in, you can't go and rip out all the cabinetry, rip out all the carpet, rip out all of the kitchen and change it. You have to pretty much do what's there. Like, it has to be like for, but it was used for commercial space. Like it was used for event space rather, and galleries and things like that. And you can see why. It is a very unique space. This is that courtyard. So from the courtyard looking back in, again, it's just cool, right? Yeah, that top position. Where are you going to find another property like this? You're just not. They've had 300 or 400 groups go through open homes, which is pretty crazy for a little 2-bedroom house. I'd say there's going to be a lot of people just wanting to check it out. A lot of the architectural community would be, hey, let's go and check this property out. But yeah, in terms of the floor plan, let's just have a quick look at that from the top level. Yeah, sorry, just before we get to that, this is the kitchen. So that's where that nook was. So when we're looking from the other direction, it's got this nook that enters into the kitchen, and you can obviously use it as a servery. So I believe that some of these are fridges, or the fridges might be on this return here. You can't really just go and chop that bench top to put in a full height fridge. They have to be undermount fridges in there. So yeah, this is where the quirkiness will lead it to choose its buyer, because not everyone's going to want to deal with that. Not everyone's going to want to deal with the half height walls, because you're not going to be able to plaster those up to the ceiling. This is how it'll be. So probably not a family. I would say it's like a single person or a couple that would live in this space, and it's just going to throw a lot of noise around the entire property. But let's have a look at the floor plan. So yeah, go in through the front door, left, you've got that dining, and that's to the kitchen where that little hob was, or that little servery. On the other side, full-size bathroom. Like, I wouldn't say that the bathroom's small, and then you've got probably the main bedroom, just there, again, next to the entry, which is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But people would be buying this purely based on its uniqueness, because it's just, you're never going to see anything like this again. It's why it's heritage listed. It's why there's been 300 plus people through the open homes, because it's just one of a kind. And that's where, or why I wanted to do a review on this particular property, is because supply and demand is what drives prices. Supply and demand is what causes these things to skyrocket. Just in terms of where it's located, the whole of Toorak is pretty good. You know what I mean? You can get closer, obviously, to the river and whatnot, but this is between Grange Road and Orong Road. And yeah, it is a good pocket. The houses around there, as you can see, there's like plenty of tennis courts. And looking at it from that uniqueness, that supply and demand side of things, it is very much one of a kind. Like nothing else has this central courtyard, this central light source as well into the property. So that's where, for me, supply and demand, you've only got one of these things. If you get two bidders at auction that really want this property, so let's just say 3 people turn up and they have an infinite amount of money. There's one person that wants to use it for event space. It could be an artist that just really wants to purchase the property, and they could live very close and they're going to use it as their event space. So you've got that person, you've got maybe an architect that just loves it. Like they've been there to another function that someone else was hosting, and they've gone, geez, if this property ever came up for sale, I would do everything I could to purchase it. And then you've just got someone, average punter, that has a bit of money and they just fall in love with it. So you've got those 3 different types of buyers, and let's just say they all turn up at auction and they've got $5-6 million to spend. That would be the case for a perfect storm, because they could just keep bidding and bidding and bidding. And so it doesn't really matter what that property's quoted for. It's what these people are willing to pay for it. And that's, again, where you can just get some insane prices. So I would say when this property sells, it's probably going to set a relatively high record or a high number for a 2-bedroom property within Melbourne, right? Not just taking Toorak into account, I would say for Melbourne in general, because of its uniqueness. But again, that's my view on it. As a buyer's agent, I do have a strong belief that this thing is just going to go nuts. I could be wrong. Inflation, the market might not be as strong as what people think, but let's see. We'll be keeping an eye on it. This is a property review. We do these every single week, so make sure that you tune in, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.